Hello there, welcome to another episode of World of Tanks Mercenaries within Gaming Titan. And we're here on Scorpion Pass encounter mode, and I'm in the Tortoise. Now, I have been playing the Tortoise again. I was playing the AT-15 to get a crew good enough to put into the Tortoise, so that I could play the Tortoise to grind out the Badger. Now, I have been playing the Tortoise, but I've been playing the Tortoise rather badly, which didn't come as an entire surprise, but I was playing the AT-15 very badly as well, which came as a bit of a shock. Now, the last time I was playing the Tortoise and the AT-15 on a regular basis, as in playing them ongoing week by week, it's probably about nearly 5 years ago, because the AT-15 line, the AT line up to the FE 215B183, the Death Star, was the second tank line I completed to Tier 10. So the first one was the British heavy tank line, Conqueror FE 215B as it was then. Super Conqueror came later. And I actually didn't have to play the Super Conqueror. I think I had enough experience on the Conqueror to unlock the Super Conqueror without actually playing the Conqueror. However, I had to play the AT-15, and I'm now playing the Tortoise. I won't have to play a huge amount of games because of the combination of the bonus, the doubles from the Spring Games Bravo, also from the multipliers. But I went in from damage standing on the AT-15 from 80 down to like 70 or 72 or something like that. And I wasn't doing much better in the Tortoise. But I've kind of realised in this game that part of my problem is that I've been thinking of them in terms of heavy tanks. That they could play as heavy tanks. And it is true that they can play as heavy tanks. But that doesn't mean that it's pragmatic to play them as heavy tanks all the time. So I've been letting essentially the orthodoxy of the notion, say, the idea that you can play them as heavy tanks, become a kind of an orthodoxy, an ideology, so to speak, and trying to play them as heavy tanks as if they were. The problem is they're too slow. I suspect the same problem will arise with the Japanese super heavies, and they can't keep up with the heavy tanks. So you have two issues then when you try and keep up with the heavy tanks. The first was that you don't arrive on time, and your heavy tanks they've already lost. They might not be dead, but they've essentially lost the fight wherever the heavy tanks are currently fighting. That's not the case in this particular instance. I've managed to catch up, and to a certain extent the cap circle here is going to be the centre of activity. But I'm actually, in this instance right now, at this moment in the battle, I have caught up, and the fight's to a certain extent won. In that we've occupied and cleared the cap circle. We could now probably just win the game if we wanted to, by simply capping. What happens is that we don't. We clear off the initial, shall we say, opposition, and then part 2 develops. But the other side of the fight is with the Tortoise and playing with the heavy tanks is that you arrive when the fight is won, and frequently that also means you don't even actually get to fire the 2 shots that I fired, because quite often you arrive and there is no enemy tank left, and your heavy tanks have moved off, so you're actually chasing them. So you're now in the position of chasing the fight, and you don't want to be chasing the fight in a tank like the AT-15 or the Tortoise, because you simply will not catch up. So that is a problem. So the second thing is, there's a second fight developing on my right. I thought initially these guys would provide more opposition, but the thing is, I make a big mistake here. I go to flank. Now, the flanking itself isn't a bad idea, but just not in a Tortoise. It's a bad idea in a Tortoise. If I was actually in a heavy tank, like a Conqueror or an IS-4, this actually would be a reasonable maneuver because I would be at the corner by now and I would be already engaged. As it turns out, by the time I get to the corner, the fight's going to be over. Our guys will actually win. They'll win at a price. So I should be, again, more realistic in my assessment of what this tank can do. And I should have probably gone straight in. Now, I would not do very well against a head up against a T-95. I would be punished badly, but the thing is, I wouldn't have been alone. There were all the tanks there as well. I just need to be careful about how I do it. And I think the Emil is alive simply because the front of that turret, the Emil, is just impenetrable. And he's managed to get rid of the T-95. So we have an Object 430 over there. And we have an E-75 at the back of the cap circle. So I think, right, the E-75 is the other priority. And I'm the only one really in a position to deal with them. The other guys are on the low ground and they're engaged with the medium tank, whatever it is. Now, I crossed the gap. I actually expected to be hit harder crossing the gap. The Emil was trying to flank the medium tank and his ally was basically killed. So he's on his own. And we're outnumbered 2-1. We're outnumbered 5-2. More than 2-1. I've taken a shot through the side, I think, from the Centennial T-95, the Chieftain T-95. But the E-75 backed up against the cliff, so that gave me a flat shot against his front plate. And while I was being tracked by the Atomic, I was able to untrack myself using the repair kit for long enough to get the shot into the E-75, so I could get rid of the E-75, turn and face the Atomic and the Object 430. Because that was important. It was important that I actually bring my gun to bear and my best armour to the fight. So I'm starting to cross over here. And I'm thinking, okay, the Object 430 is probably running around behind me, and what they'll try and do is the Atomic will come in on one side and the Object 430 at another, which is the worst part. And now I have this guy on top as well. So I thought about backing up and see if I can get a hatch shot or whatever, a turret shot. Now it looks like, okay, it looks like the Atomic has gone after the Emil. The Object 430 has shown me too much tank, and this guy is still, he's sniping I think at the Emil at the moment. But I'm going to have to go after him. I'm the only one in a position to deal with him, and it's nobody else, it's just me. Otherwise the Emil is effectively pinned down between two tanks. And the problem is he can't leave. He can probably protect himself from this guy, but then he can't leave the position. And now he's put a shot probably through the roof, or through the big commander's hatch. Either is feasible. I didn't really look at the time, turn the camera, because at the angle I was, he had a pretty good decent angle at the top of my tank, and the top isn't that heavily armoured. So I'm coming up now and I try for a hatch shot. I didn't have really much chance and I didn't aim it very well. However, it fooled the Centurion 1 into thinking that he could come around me. He didn't realise how fast the Tortoise can reload. And Tortoises can reload actually surprisingly fast. They have very high DPM. And then the Atomic is now caught in between two different tanks, one on each side of them. Tracked and in the open, not much you can do about it really. So that's the lesson I need to learn from my experience with the Tortoise, is that I need to bring the gun into the game. And I need to be realistic about where I can go and how long it'll take me to get there to bring the gun into the game. So the priority is to bring the gun in as early as possible. and then worry about whether you're a heavy tank or a tank destroyer later on. That Emil did very well, 4k damage, 2.5k damage. I was quite satisfied with my result. It's better than I've been doing in a while. So the lesson I must learn is not let theory get in the way of the practice, and not let theoretical categories get in the way of the practicalities of how you actually make things work. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like and a share. Feel free to comment. If you've not already done so, please subscribe to the channel. I will catch you all again soon. Bye for now.